Ali Alberigo, and this is the School Owner Talk podcast. Hello again, Duane Brummett here with Ali Alberigo, schoolownertalk.com. Good morning, Ali, and great to be with you, sir.
Great to be with you too. And you do that segue in perfectly, like when it comes from the intro to your voice to the fade in. Awesome job. I'm used to working with Gus and it's green screen and something's going wrong. And I pop in, my voice is not on. But good job. You're awesome at it.
I try.
Cool. So, dude, today I'm excited. Like, I just came from breakfast and I talked to my friends and I'm excited about this thing that you came up with. I mean, I know there are other days out there. I mean, there was an International Ninja Day and there's always all these different things. And you came up with this concept and basically built it around an idea. And, you know, it's International Martial Art Week or month, however you want to do it, right?
Yeah, so I can't take full credit. Actually any credit except for launching it. And so my head instructor, Mr. Bean, this was back in 2019. So before the pandemic, said, hey, why don't we do like a National Appreciation Martial Arts Month or National Martial Arts Appreciation Month, that type of thing. And so we decided that September was going to be International Martial Arts Appreciation Month. Mm-hmm. And so the whole idea around it was two things. One is that, you know, we as martial artists need to appreciate the martial arts.
Right.
And so, you know, part of that appreciation is actually doing the martial arts. But the second part, and, you know, having gratitude to our instructors and all those type of things. And then the second piece to that is if we, you know, really are appreciative of the martial arts and what it's done for us, then why aren't we, or why shouldn't we share it with others? And so it's a different spin on Buddy Day or Buddy Week. It has an overarch of a theme as opposed to, hey, let's just bring a buddy to class type thing.
Right.
There is, you know, this fictitious, but now going to be, you know, you and I are going to try to blow this thing up.
Yeah.
But every September, we're going to make it International Martial Arts Appreciation Month. Okay. And so I know you probably have some questions, but I do want to say that Mr. Bean and we did debrief after this event, and we came up with even more ideas to really ingrain the whole month involved. Because even though it was, you know, International Martial Arts Appreciation Month, we really did a buddy week is what we did. And for us, the reason we did it on that day was because the last week of the month in September is always sparring week for us. So it's a lot easier. It's not curriculum based. It's a lot easier to bring people in, those type of things. But we've got a lot of ideas now on how we're going to make it even better for next year. So I don't know where you want to start with this. But again, we did a fictitious a holiday or appreciation, and we got some pretty decent results.
So let's start off with the results so that people who are here can hear that and then be like, well, you know, because if they don't hear the results first, right, they're going to go, oh, just another fad, you know, trend or something like that. So hit them with the results first because it makes it more sexier. And then, you know, of course, then we could talk about and brainstorm putting this together. And could we do it, you know, in October, or could somebody do? We hope, I think that I would hope that you and I could put something together where every year in September, that's what it is. But we could promote it and give people stuff to promote it with, and all for free or whatever, to, you know, teach the systems, but just to really elevate this month for the martial arts.
Yeah. And, you know, normally September is, and even a little bit of October is normally a pretty decent month for martial arts schools anyways.
Right.
So just to, you know, get the hype even more, I think would be beneficial. So anyways, the results of that week was we had 68 buddies come in that week. Some only came one day, some came both days with their, with their friend. And I had, even some of them bring a couple of different friends, not just one.
Right.
So 68 attended. Of course, we use Spark. And so I created a Spark Ignite automation that once they were in the system, because what happened was we used a checkout page. They put their information in, and then from there, we actually, based upon the information they gave us, what day and times that they were going to come, we actually put them into our system as not a trial per se, but in the calendar. So they got the text messages on, hey, this is what you need to wear. This is what time class is. Stop at the front desk, that type of thing. And so then with Spark, the nice thing is if they showed up, we're able to click showed.
Right.
And that immediately gives them a tag that 60 minutes later thanks them for attending the buddy week, asks them what was the best thing they thought about it, and says, by the way, I just sent you an email on, getting 4 weeks for free just for attending our buddy week. Right.
Love it.
And so, and then that has an elaborate follow-up. So it's not just one email, one text. There's multiple emails, multiple text messages that will be hitting them up for quite a while.
Right.
Out of the 68, we already have, and that was last week, by the way. So out of the 68, we already have 11 trials. And we already have 3 enrollments from that 1 week. Now, 3 doesn't sound like a lot out of 68, but three actually did the class and signed up that same week. They didn't even do a trial. They said, yep, we just want to sign up. We want to enroll right now.
Perfect. That's perfect. And then, of course, your 68 out of the 68, 3 signed up, 65 are in your sales funnel.
And 11 are already on the floor. 11 are already on the floor doing trial.
There. So 11 are in a trial doing the 1 month. That, well, let's just say even if you converted 5 of those, that'd be great as well, right? But you're 50%. And then you have another, 11, 3, 14. So another like 54 that are potential clients too, that are in your prospect marketing funnel. That's amazing. Well,
yeah. And don't forget, right? I know you're not, but listeners, don't forget there's other things that those individuals may take advantage of, even if they never come in and do a martial arts lesson with you. They might do a birthday party. They might do a summer camp or a day camp or a self-defense class. So there are multiple opportunities there. It's not just a one-hit opportunity. Yes. The best bang for our buck as a school owner is obviously to have them in our program, but there's subsequent things that can be marketed to them later that you still can, allow them to take advantage of.
And it's interesting. I don't know. I'm feeling like more and more like internet nerdish. Like I'm a nerd when it comes to that. Cause I just released an automation, and we talk about automations all the time. And sometimes the listeners who don't have Spark, maybe like you and I, before you taught me how to do automations through Entreport before Spark was even developed. And we were spending like $500 a month, right? Or $480 a month just to have this software that was like, send out an email, and if they click, they get this, or they don't do a click, they get that, and all these different, an automation funnel sequence, email, text, all these other things, right? So, we were paying a fortune to have that, and our software has that in it, included in the monthly price, which I love. And when I said I'm nerdish, I released my Halloween party. Maybe it was like September 27th somewhere, and I had an automation to follow. The minute I released, I had 10 signups immediately signing up to my Halloween party. So that's the power of, urgency marketing, proper communication, and so on. And that's what you're doing, right? With this, you have those 50 or so people in some sort of follow-up funnel.
Yep, absolutely.
Right.
So, we first off, what do you think about this idea before we talk about how when Mr. Bean and I debriefed on what we can do to amplify this? What are your thoughts on what happened? No. What, I mean,
so far,
yeah,
I love it. I love that so far. I believe, honestly, in my opinion, anything that could get a buzz in my school that's different, that could be an annual type drive for students, or like Breast Cancer Awareness Month, heart disease. Like, there's so many different charities that claim a month, and we don't really have anything for our industry that could create this kind of global awareness. And imagine people did it. We could make this big. I mean, you could probably even get local media and local, news channels. There's so much, right? So, yeah, I love what you're talking about so far. It's great.
So after debriefing, of course, we talked about how did the front end work with regards to them using the checkout page all the way through. How did it actually work the day of when they came in, and how can we, the logistics, how can we make that any better? And then obviously the follow-up, Mr. Bean doesn't have much to do with the follow-up just because I've already created that in the automation, but we talked about those things, but we talked about how we can leverage it even more. And so one of the ideas he had was, every class. So we have an A day and a B day. So our A days are Monday and Tuesdays, and our B days are Wednesdays and Thursdays. So every class spotlighting, every A day and then a B day, spotlighting an instructor. And, so we would have to come up with a little bio about, our martial arts, about our training, maybe a few little stories about it, quick stories, but then the things that have, why and how we've benefited from the martial arts. And so that gives us a total of, 8 instructors to cover at that time. Now, if your studio doesn't have 8 instructors, we talked about the fact that if, some schools don't have 8 instructors, then, you take a look at some of the bigger icons in maybe your particular style, or in the martial arts in general. Obviously, Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee, those all come to mind. But, you highlight them and how the martial arts had benefited them if you don't have enough instructors to do that every single class.
Right.
And so, you're hitting that home with that and in showing appreciation, but also prefacing, because we didn't preface this, but prefacing to everybody that, there's 2 ways that you show appreciation of the martial arts. One is by actually training in it and having gratitude towards your instructor because of it, or your instructors. And 2 is by inviting people in. And we highlighted that. We didn't highlight the first one, but we highlighted the fact that showing bringing individuals in is showing gratitude and appreciation for the martial arts that you do. And so we talked about, just really kind of dialing that in the last 2 weeks of August, saying, hey, coming up, September's, International Martial Arts Appreciation Month. And, here's the 2 ways that you show appreciation. One is, and I already covered that. And then 2 is this. Well, then the other thing that we talked about was getting the parents and also the students involved. Nowadays, we have social media. So what I did was anybody that brought a buddy in, we put them into a drawing for $100 Visa gift card. And so you got one ticket every time you brought one person in. So if you brought one person in that came in twice, that you would still get 2 tickets, that type of thing.
Right.
But now what we're looking at to do next year is not only do that, but any student that does a video, basically a video testimonial on how TriStar, for us, TriStar Martial Arts Academy, and what we do there has benefited them, and they post it there, we're going to have a certain hashtag, then that's going to give them another entry into that.
Okay, cool.
And then on top of that, if their parent does a separate one on how it's benefited their child, from their perspective, from a parent's perspective,
Right.
as well. Then we're going to be able to give them another entry. And then lastly, if they give us the raw footage of that video so that we actually have it to
Right.
use for testimonials, then we'll give them another entry for the $100 gift card as well. And so right now we're trying to look at the logistics of that. It's fine if 10 people do it, but my gosh, if we have 50 people do it, that's going to take a little bit of time. And so we've got a whole year to figure out the logistic part of that. And I'm sure there's some sort of software or something out there that we can utilize in order to, make it a lot easier for us to track. And even if Spark has something too, then we'll definitely use that first. But so those are some of the debriefing things. And then the other thing that we talked about was coming up with some sort of logo. This year, I just did a Buddy Week logo. So you have the average looking Buddy Week logo.
Right.
But
right.
I really, for next year, I want the colors and the logo to really speak to, International Martial Arts Appreciation Month. And really, I want to decorate the school.
Yeah.
So I want to have a banner that I put up, but then of course that I can spend, $250 on a banner that I'm going to use every single year because it's just going to get recycled. And of course, maybe I use it for 5 years and then I get a different banner the next 5 years or whatever. But I really want to blow the studio out of the water. And then what you said with regards to getting PR, we've already talked about, doing some press releases there's only one local paper anymore, and there's one online paper, but doing press releases to both of them with regards to us celebrating International Appreciation Month for martial arts, and giving everyone an opportunity to come in and try a class for free through that as well. So they wouldn't even necessarily be a buddy of somebody else, but they would be able to come in and do a class for free. And then of course, immediately 60 minutes after they've done class, they're going to get an opportunity to do 4 more weeks for free or whatever our special is at that month, because we'll click show on our system. And then voila, they'll start to get followed up. And then the same thing, we want to get on the radio stations here in town and talk about the benefits of martial arts while it's International Martial Arts Appreciation Month as well.
Yeah, you're like unpacked the total system for the month of marketing. I've been writing them down in the comments as you go, like some of the highlights. So if people want to look back in the comments section, I've been kind of taking little blurbs out of what you've been saying and putting in the sidebar. But I also see this too, like as a fundraising opportunity too, if you wanted to wrap a charity, a school's favorite charity of choice, wrapped around this Buddy Week as well. And everyone who comes in, either they want to donate or they want to, sell tickets or raffles or whatever the case may be. I just see that this could be something that would be, International Martial Art Month and fundraising for a specific charity, NF or CTF Foundation or whatever the case may be. That could also work really well too. But I love that, you've already thought about, okay, post releases, we're going to do this, pre-release, we're going to do it. And then post, we did it. Here's the pictures. Here's the people. Like, this is what we did. And I love the banner idea. Wow. Like, we turned it into decorating. I just talked to one of my clients who's doing a Halloween party, and him and his partner were kind of like, going back and forth. And he decorates the day before. She's like, I want to decorate the month before so that has the ambiance of Halloween the whole month. So like you said, you could have a banner up. This could be the whole month that we're driving towards International Martial Art Appreciation Month.
So I was on a Zoom call with a gentleman who used to work with or work for Walmart. He's since retired, but one of the things that he was in, and I'm going to mess it up. But one of the things that he was in charge of was, marketing and branding for the seasonal things.
Right.
And he was talking about that, you've got to get that front of mind awareness months
Yeah.
before the season actually happens,
Yeah.
so that people are walking through Walmart and Target and all these other places, and there's already Christmas stuff out.
Yeah.
Well, the reason that is, he said, is because you may not pick it up right now, but you go, oh yeah, I know Target has that, or oh yeah, I know Walmart has
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
saw it there.
Right.
And so he said that's why those things happen in advance,
Hmm.
so that you remember, oh yeah,
Right.
that place has it. And so we need to do that as well. We need to pre-frame everything so
Right.
that there's front of mind awareness of the event, of whatever it is
Yeah.
that's going to be vitally important. And so I'm glad that you said that about pre-advertising or letting people
Yeah.
know in advance. I guess, and when I guess we kind of knew that,
Hmm.
but when he said that on that Zoom call that I was on Monday night, that really, to hear it for somebody that worked at that level, I don't know why
Right.
that made a difference to me, but it did.
Yeah, and isn't that, like, and even, and look, the only thing I have up to decorate for my Halloween party, just bringing up something that's seasonal, is a jack-o'-lantern that has a digital countdown in my dojo that it says, look who's going to the Halloween party, and then the flyers hanging off of it. But I used to have program managers, mostly women, that would decorate the heck out of the school. So you'd walk in and spiders would be falling down, and there was all this crazy Halloween stuff. So, like, you want to create that ambiance, right? You want to do that seasonally for everything. And we should be thinking about, right now I'm hearing Christmas music already on commercials, like, because the minute October's done, we're into Christmas season, no Thanksgiving and Christmas. So people are starting to prime up purchases, sales, discounts, and so on for the holiday shopping season. So we need to think ahead. This is a great opportunity. You could start marketing this thing in early August for a September launch, and have a massive, massive return, on time invested.
Yeah. So I was stoked.
Yeah.
And when Mr. Bean had come up with this idea in 2019, it wasn't shortly after that. And I don't know, I don't remember the date that he came up with it, but let's just say it was October or November.
Right.
He was talking about the following year, let's do this. Well, 2020 came along, couldn't do it.
Right.
2021 came along. We were still not, our head wasn't in the game enough to,
Yeah.
get her
We're
done.
still in recovery mode.
Yeah, it's an excuse, but yes. But this year, we really sat down and we're like, yes, we're doing it. Here's how we're going to do it. Here's how we're going to launch it right now. And was it as elaborate as now what we're talking about? No, but we decided to just ready, fire, aim, and now you go back and you go, okay, this is what worked. This didn't work. This is what we're going to do better. Now this is going to be a much more elaborate. But right. I am going to fall on you, or rely on you a little bit more, with coming up with the colors, the logos, those types of things. That's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, yeah, and I love all that branding of events, right? So, like, again, I don't want to, let's just talk about the Halloween party again. I'm sorry that I'm repetitive, but, like, you need to brand that party, right? It could be a Christmas party. So then we're going to be doing a Christmas party. We got to brand that as well. So this type of event could be a branded event. And by the way, let me mix in some of my old charity ideas to what we do. Martial Art Appreciation Month could be tied into a charity, and the easiest way to raise money for a charity is to do a belt sale where, like for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, you sell pink belts, and pink belts might cost us $5. In order to buy that belt, we sell it to the client for $20. We take $15 and put it into the charity. So we could maybe say, hey, listen, on International,
Martial Arts
Appreciation Month, it's a red, white, and blue belt or a tie-dye belt. Like, we went out and did our own tie-dye on belts because I have thousands of white belts from over the
Right.
years.
I remember you
So
saying
we
that.
tie-dyed them all, and then we sold them for $20 and took the money and gave it right to the charity. So that would be a cool thing to do as well, like the colors of the belt to the charity, to the event, to the logo, and really, really get it so that it's exciting for people.
Yeah, no, and then even if you know of a martial artist that is in need,
Right.
because I know, and I haven't even looked into this, so I have no idea, but I know at one time Ernie Reyes Jr. was ill. So I'm sure medical bills, like there's those type of things too that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't seen anything with him recently, but I think he's doing better, Ernie. He's such a good guy. I remember we hung out with him in Michigan. You know how many years? That's almost 10 years ago, I think,
Oh my
that we
gosh,
were
that's
there.
been so long ago.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's just so that was a great event, by the way. It was Ernie Reyes Jr., Kung Lee, Goldberg, the wrestler,
You mean my friend Goldberg?
Yeah. Who else was there? A lot of other famous wrestlers. I forget their names. I'm not a big wrestling.
Jake the Snake.
Yeah, and we all were hanging out in the lobby. And the funniest thing
Tyler, why can't I think his name? He came in second place on America's Got Talent. He's the
I was just going to mention that because
Tyler Williams.
He wasn't there, and I was watching that season. Absolutely loved him. And through the door, he's like with his hoodie on, right? Remember, he's a tiny, skinny guy, hoodie on, face covered. And we all turn around like we're going to kill him because we don't know if he's like somebody trying to shoot up the lobby. And he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And then he's like, oh my God, I love you guys. And I'm like, you're from America's Got Talent. We stay in touch. Like I actually could text him. I have his cell number. He would text me right back. Like I've said to him a few times, and he came back on America's Got Talent a few times, and he did this big thing with skit with Heidi.
Yes, yeah.
And it was pretty funny, but that was a great event, and that was something fun. But yeah, that's another thing. Think about this too. How can you tie in local celebrities or turn this type of event into turning you and your school into a local celebrity, right? Where you're the leader of the community and you're out there raising money for charity and you're out there doing this martial art thing that's changing lives. I mean, it could explode into so many different areas as far as what it could do for a town or for a community and so on. It's just endless.
And look, I think that collaboration is better than competition.
Right.
And so as you are listening to this, whether it's live or you're listening to some sort of recording of this, I would encourage you, if you would, especially if you're on our thread here on Facebook, I would put some of your ideas that you thought of or that was sparked just by listening to this event and the things that we did. Because in as much as, like, let's say we all come up with 100 things, we're not all going to do 100 things
right
with this, but we could do 25 or 20, or we could do 10 really, really well.
Yeah.
And we would have others for the subsequent years so that every single year doesn't become the same thing, because we will have students and clients that are going to be with us year after year. And we definitely want to make it a little bit different. Not a lot, but we definitely want to do a different spin or a small spin on it the following year, or maybe 2 years in a row it's the same, but the third year does need to be different. Because, you bring up America's Got Talent. It's the same show every year. They have different talent every year, but how they judge it sometimes is different from year to year. How they present it is sometimes different from year to year. Yes. Because they have to put a spin on it in order to keep everybody coming back to watch it. And so it's the same thing with us. We can't have the same mundane thing every single year over and over again. We have to do something different inside of it.
Although, to some extent, it's only the same for the people who have been there for a while, right?
Agreed.
So like you always have new people coming in and out, and it's brand new to them. But I do like we've talked about, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with doing the same, the same standard okay, this month is our big bash that we're going to do this kind of event, martial art appreciation, and it's the same thing. I think people would love that, right? So I think that's great, but I like variety.
I was going to say this too, because I was looking at your comment where you put on there, we already have 11 trials and 3 enrollments immediately.
Yeah.
Even if we get nothing else, I'll have spent $100, $100 gift card. Yeah. And I have three people enrolled.
Yeah, and then the most expensive thing, even if you did do banners and some flyers and other things, it's very inexpensive. It's like every year I sell Halloween cards, the VIP Halloween cards. And I always have people who say like, oh, I don't get much out of that. And I'm like, well, what did you get out of it? And they say, oh, we got 1 student. And I'm like, okay, you got 1 student, and how much do you charge a month? Oh, $150. So I'm like, so you paid $150 to have the cards printed. You did a lot of energy putting it into getting it to everybody, but only 1 person joined. You still made $1,650 profit off of that 1 form of marketing. So sometimes I think we're looking for that big hit, that huge amount coming in, but you need to continually keep doing these type of things. And by the way, this type of event is more of an energy builder, a retention tool, a camaraderie builder within the school. And people tend to forget that. Marketing is not, like when we do buddy days, buddy weeks, referral contests and programs, that's gathering people together for the same cause. You know what I mean? And making sure that they want to, be a part of something bigger. And this gives them that opportunity, right?
Yeah, I was going to say full transparency as well. And I don't know if this had any effect in it, but we don't do buddy weeks.
Uh-huh.
So in essence, this is the first buddy week that don't get me wrong. I've done it. I did it years and years ago, but this is the first buddy week that I probably have done in 5 years or whatever.
Right.
So that might play into it with the numbers. So I want to be transparent with that.
Yeah.
But I still think that you can get great results by creating this event with regards to, and the international, martial arts appreciation month, and educating your clientele on how you show appreciation, 1, to the martial arts, but 2, also to your martial arts school.
I love that part too. That's a big deal. Like, we're always wanting, I know I'm an old traditional type old school guy. No. And I'm always going like, man, I don't see the appreciation that people used to, the reverence and all of that people used to do. And in their defense, it's not really their fault because they're not taught that, or they don't understand it, or it's not a part of their life. This might be a great way to teach those skills, how to appreciate your sensei, how to appreciate your dojo, how to appreciate your parents for bringing you to the dojo. So like, it's not just appreciation of the martial arts in general, but it's everything that encompasses the martial arts. And it goes back to the families, like mom and dad's paying tuition, driving you to class every day, doing all these things that they're, for you and your life and to benefit you. This is a good way to teach those values too. I like it. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think it reinforces a lot of things. And it might even set up November for you. And here's what I mean by that. As we're talking, what's spinning through my head is obviously the word gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
And so not appreciation. So a different word, gratitude.
Right.
But now I'm thinking like, okay, how do I utilize this month of gratitude to get my students to maybe do some extra things that they're not normally doing? So maybe, one of them is to thank their parents for bringing them to martial arts class, or thank them for doing their laundry, or writing a thank you card to someone that sent you something or gave you something, even if it's 6 months ago.
Yeah. It's interesting, Duane. Like my daughter, my mom is living with me now. We talked about this a little off the air. She's kind of getting older. She just had her 86th birthday yesterday, but her whole life, she's been this type of woman that really would say what's on her mind. I don't care. It's the truth. I don't care who I hurt, like that kind of old school thing. And my daughter, who's so smart sometimes, she said to me, "Hey, Dad, you know what? It's not that she's a bad person. She just never learned emotional intelligence." And I'm like, "Well, what do you mean by that?" She says, "Well, she was never taught by anyone how to think ahead of time of what you say, what you do, how you act, what people perceive as a way of, acting properly." And I think, and she said, our society now doesn't have that emotional intelligence or care where they want to know, like, hey, I'm not going to say something negative because it might hurt others. They just say it because they feel they have the right to. So
Yeah.
I think this is emotional intelligence is what's missing a lot in our society. So if we get a chance to teach kids how to act, like we just had a birthday party the other day in our school, and one of my guys pulled these two kids off. They were like 10-year-olds. And they were ripping things and saying things and pushing people. And he pulled them off to the side. He says, "Has anyone ever told you how you're supposed to act in public? Have you ever learned from your parents or from school?" They're like, "Nah, this is like this smart, Alex. This is what we do." And they've never been taught that. I think this is a great thing. I know I kind of went a little bit off on a tangent.
No.
You're right, though. Like, that's a great way to show that appreciation. How do we act? How do we respect? How do we pay homage to our families and our teachers and so on and so forth, right? This is all good stuff.
Well, like last night, Mr. Bean was teaching the white belts. He teaches the white belts. And golly, there was, I can't even tell you. There was probably 20 white belts out there. And let's say 10 of them are actual white belts they've joined, and the other 10 are trials.
Right.
And I know what some people are thinking. They're thinking, well, you said you only have 11 trials.
Right.
That's from the buddy stuff. That has nothing to do with my regular website.
Yeah.
My marketing with Gus Lopez, with Lead Hunter Media. So there are other trials that are out there. But so I just wanted to preface that because somebody's going to think that.
Yeah.
But before we start, so we bowed in and everything. And before we started, I just said, "Hey guys, I want everybody to know, because I know there's a lot of new people trying us out. I want you to understand how we run things and what we do. And so if you're late," and that happens sometimes, you hit the train, your parents are running late, or you made your parents run late.
Yeah.
You can't just walk in on the floor. You have to ask permission to come in.
Right.
So after you punch in on the iPad, raise your hand. You got to say, "Sir or ma'am, may I come into class?" And you got to wait to be acknowledged to come into class. Now, that being said, if you want to leave class because you got to go to the bathroom, I said, sometimes you have a full bladder. I get it. You got to ask permission.
Yeah.
Before you leave.
Right.
And after you go, and wash your hands, by the way, when you come back, you have to ask permission to come back in.
Right.
And I said, the only time you can run off of this floor is if you feel like you're going to throw up. Don't even open your mouth, because I don't want that all over anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Go hit the toilet.
Right.
And you're not going to be asking to come back on the floor anyways, because you're going to be leaving.
Yeah.
All right. Does everybody understand? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So, but and the reason I bring that up is because, you've got to preface those things. And normally we have time to do that, but that was such a big group.
Right.
A bunch of new people that it just kind of needed to be told. And I also needed the parents to understand, what the heck was going on too.
Right.
Not that isn't in our system, because it is, but it's not the very first thing that we talk about. It's in one of I think it's like maybe in the third video that they get.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, like, you know me, and you're going to go like, really? Like, but me, like with the whole entire traditional stuff, it bothers me to see a lot of people putting no essence on the bow, no essence on the yes, sir, no, sir, height sensei, that kind of thing. And that's slowly being lost to the point where, a lot of this valuable stuff, like the first lesson of the martial arts used to be you learn how to bow, right? And I remember when I went to Japan, my first week was bowing procedures, reiho, right? Like learning how to bow. And I paid thousands of dollars to fly overseas, hotels and rooms, and all I did was bow. And for some of the people that I went to, they were pissed. Like they didn't want to come back. And I was overjoyed. Like I loved, because I love the culture and the history. And I got to ask, well, why do we bow like this? What is this bow for? What is that bow? And I thought, to me, that was such a great lesson in humility and understanding. Like the very first, most basic thing is, in Japan, is you see each other, you bow to each other, right? You know, like in our society, I have a thing that I'll drive. I once, Nicole thinks I'm a lunatic, but like I ride by one of my neighbors and I wave and they ignore me. So I rode around the block and I drove really slow and waved again. They ignored me. I went around again and I drove really, really, really slow and I was waving. Finally, they acknowledged me and then I drove on. She's like, what a waste of time. But it's just funny to me to see how people are. Like either she didn't see me the first or second time or didn't care to acknowledge, but you know, we got to learn those respect levels. And I think this creates that, you know, within this idea.
And this is off topic, but one thing, especially when I teach, is I teach my students that the little things matter.
Right.
And so when I say, does that make sense? And then there's crickets.
Right. Exactly.
I say, you mean yes, sir? And
Right.
then if it's something that's repeated, I then have a educational discussion with them.
Right.
And enough for the other students that I am teaching at the time to hear.
Right.
You know, so why do you think it's important to say yes, sir? Because I'm asking you, do you think it's because I need you to? Do you think it's because I demand you to? Do you think it's because I am better than you, so that you have to? Like, why do you think I'm asking you? And so I let them go through whatever they're going to say, and then I say to them, because nobody ever gets it right the first time.
Yeah.
I just say to them, you're right. It is what you're supposed to do. But even more than that, by you saying yes, sir, it's doing something for you. And one of those things is it's becoming a habit, so that when you go to meet someone, you go to an interview, you go to wherever it is, that's going to be a part of you, and you're not going to have to act like it at all. You're going, and then I said that also allows you to be respectful. And respect starts to become a part of you, as opposed to, well, I'm going to show respect now, because I need to, as opposed to, I'm going to show respect now, or I'm going to show respect because that's who I am.
Yeah.
And so I think that little Senate sermon, if you will, with regards to, you know, the little things matter, is really important. And it's not just with the yes, sir. It's not just with the bow. It's with all of those small things, because all of those small things matter.
Well, remember the book, Make Your Bed, we read, right? It's with the general who, you know, first thing he does every morning is tightens his bed, makes it perfect. Well, I would always get on my daughter. She's 23 now, and her room was like a tornado. And at her mom's house, her room is meticulous, but it's not because my daughter would clean it. It's because her mom would go in and fix her room every day and clean up after her. And I would say to her, listen, you need to make your bed. And she'd go, what does it matter? It's my room. Why bother? And I swear to God, just this morning, I looked in my daughter's room, the door's open, and it's meticulous. Like so clean, bed made, sharp, you know, corners, the pillows on it. And I said to myself, you know, like, wow, like it kind of wore off and she got it. And I sent her a picture. I took a picture of her room and I said, I can't tell you how proud I am of you right now. And she's like, thanks, Dad. Like, you know, that kind of thing, like, because little things mean a lot. And, you know, consistent behavior, consistently doing the same thing over, you know, reiterating to your students how to act, what's proper. You know, I had a kid the other day, people were doing sloppy front leaning stances. So I put him in, I said, I'm going to time you on the clock. Let's see who could do it for a minute. Perfect stance. And then afterwards, like, you know, 20 seconds, I wanted to make a correction. So I said, stop, you know, take a break. And one kid's still in his stance. And I said, stop, take a break. He's like, nope, you told me 1 minute. Now he's being intentionally disrespectful, this kid, because I know him. So I'm like, that's it. Get out of the class and go sit on the bench. Because, he knew he was being disrespectful, but in a smart aleck kind of way.
Sure.
But anyway, I let him back in. And I said, you know why I did that? And he says, no. I said, well, because I asked you to come out of your stance and you wouldn't, and you were trying to be a smart aleck. Oh, okay. And I go, you knew I was doing that. And you knew what you were doing because of the way you looked at me and defied me. You did it intentionally, right? And I said, that's disrespectful. So anyway, those little things mean everything. And that's what's great about it. And I know we took our martial art appreciation month and went into a little bit of a spiritual kind of, philosophical talk. But I think that that's important for school owners as well, that they see that stuff. And by the way, like we talk about, running an event, Nerf wars, Halloween party, whatever it may be. There's so many layers of what you could be doing that we tend to miss. We make a flyer, we make a checkout page, they sign up for the party, it's over. There's so many other things you could be doing during those raffles. You could be, and by the way, what I mean by raffles, you can have a raffle for free. Everyone who comes through the door gets 2 raffle tickets. You have 5 items for sale, or not for sale, to win, a t-shirt, a Black Belt Club upgrade, or 50% off, yada, yada, yada. And people have to choose where they want to put their free raffle ticket in. And then at the end of the day, what I would do is pick a winner and throw the raffles away. Of course, I had an epiphany a little bit after I screwed it up the first or second time. All those people that are putting their names in there are basically like raising their hands saying, yeah, I would like to be in the Black Belt Club if the price is right. Or I would like a t-shirt. So then you go back and you call all those people and say, unfortunately, you didn't win, but we're willing to give you a discount anyway. And you use those raffles as a way to promote other items during your martial art appreciation month or Halloween party or whatever you're doing. And there's so many layers of what we could be doing to promote other things during those events that we normally forget. Halloween party, in and out, costume, see you later, we're done, on to the next event, where we could be tying in to the next event by having a flyer ready for your next party, your next event, your next sale, your whatever. Does that make sense? Or is that kind of...
No. Yeah, no. Again, I think the more ideas to boost the International Martial Arts Appreciation Month is better. You don't have to run all of those ideas. You take what's going to fit. But if we have 100 ideas, we've got years of being able to do different spins on that. The core is going to be there. You're always going to do the core things. I get that. But if there's some other things like raffles or interviews or whatever, I mean, those could all be different.
I just heard, who did we talk to, or someone I heard, I forget where it was, and they said that they have, and I have this in my dojo, a testimonial wall where it's kind of like our logo and brick and so on. And people do, sometimes we had a few parents that would film Snapchat dances in front of our logo on the wall and they'd post it. But having those testimonials is super powerful too, like from that. So setting up a banner, maybe, you get a banner with your logo on it and have it on 2 stands in the corner. And then you set up a camera and say, who wants to do a testimonial? And then one of the people that I heard this from, they do a testimonial book. They take every written testimonial that's a 5-star, 4-star review, and they put them in a book and they get it into a proper hardcover binder and they leave it on the table for people to see, for prospects to read the reviews on the school and what they got out of it and so on. Imagine how many testimonials, video testimonials you could get if you go, hey, just shoot a quick testimonial. Just tell me what you think. And then you ask them a question and you have them feed it back, like, what did you learn from the martial arts? And then they would say, well, I learned from the martial arts, blah, blah, blah. And then that's your testimonial. Can you say your name, and then you edit it and boom, you have a video testimonial for your website, for your Facebook page, for your next event. Like, get testimonials on your events, right? And make sure that becomes your marketing for the next year.
Well, and even your drip marketing too. So, when you have those automations that are still following up with people, why not?
Right.
Yeah. Why not send a link and say, hey, did you see this video of Johnny's mom? And, how he's doubled his whatever. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, great. How his grades have improved, or how he became how he makes his own bed and is more respectful at home. Like, all those little things they're all powerful selling tools, right? Well, this has
Agreed.
been awesome, Duane. I know we're a few minutes from, like 6 minutes from ending. So
Yeah, I
I'm
think we're good.
everything. That was great. I enjoyed it. I got a lot of ideas. I wrote a bunch of notes down of what you were saying. I kind of tried to copy a lot of the notes into the sidebar comments section. So if people want to just go in there and look at it. But I would suggest listening back to this because there was a lot of ideas thrown out there. And even if you just use some of the ideas for other things that you're doing, it would be great. But I'm going to work on a logo and something cool. And then we could maybe get a layout on a PDF and we could offer it to the martial art community. And maybe next year we could get this going every September as National Martial Art Appreciation Month and build it up really, really good for the world to see and for the martial arts to be elevated one more time.
Yeah, and do you think it should be national or international?
I think international would be good.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I mean, I agree with that, but
yeah, I have so many friends in other countries, and that would be really cool for them to do it as well.
Yep.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks for
all
sharing.
right, Allie, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I hope you sign up 50 of those people.
I don't know that I can handle 50 right now. So
Yeah,
but
well, whatever you can, you sign them up. All right. Good luck to you on that, and keep up the great work, Duane. I appreciate you very much.
my pleasure. Have a good one, sir.
Take care, everybody. Bye. Sayonara.
All right, bye-bye. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Martial Arts School Owner Talk podcast. This would not be possible if it weren't for the support of our amazing sponsors. Please check out Elite Insights for all your website needs. LeadHunterMedia.com, your online digital marketer and content provider. Academy Kings BJJ Growth Consulting and Management Group at GrowMyAcademy.com. SparkMembership.com, hands down the best martial arts software for school owner management on the planet. GetKarateStudents.com, a martial arts growth consulting company for all your systems. AddHealthCoaching.com, helping school owners create a whole nother revenue stream for their school.